Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. So a few months ago, maybe half a year, I made how to make a grade calculator video on my channel, and what you're seeing here is the results of that video. I got some really cool questions on that video that at the time I didn't know how to answer, but I've actually had a brainwave last night and I finally cracked some workarounds and some resolutions to those questions. So Kate asks, I would want Notion to show me whether it's a first, 2, 1, etc. by saying if sum of final grade equals X, then Y, but not sure how to do this as the sum is actually out of the Notion table at the bottom. So she's referring to this part of the table. She would like maybe formula or something that would tell her whether this final grade is one of these classifications, which is so good. I wanted that, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I had this table here and I would just refer to it. That is a way of doing things, but this table does take up room, so I can understand wanting formula that will just tell you automatically what it is. She also asks, when you calculate module weighting, do you think there's a way to do it so that you're not actually entering the number 120 into the formula, but can put sum of credits? So if you add more modules with more credits, it automatically divides by the new sum. I would know how to do this in Excel, but not in Notion. Yes, that is a very good point also. And at the same, it's kind of the same issue, how both of these values are outside of the table, so they're not really, you can't really interact with them inside the database. So just to make that clear, she's referring to sum of credits here, and how we use that in module weight. We've just kind of type it in, but I guess that allows for like human error. You could accidentally put a 9 or something, whereas if you just referred to a sum of calculation, then that would solve that error. So I have answers to both of these questions. Happy days. Like I say, both of these came to me last night, not in a dream, but just before I went to sleep. Anyway, no one cares. So let's get started. I'm going to address this issue first and then this issue because it's just the order I'm going to do it in. So we're going to make a table, a nice little inline database. So let's call this DC, degree classification. I don't really need this title property, but we have to keep it here because that's just like the laws of Notion. And I'm not exaggerating, it just is. So we're going to call this modules. So we are creating here a relation to our modules database. So there we go, create relation. So here we have our relation there, and it pops up here as well. So on this side of the database, I'm just going to call it dash because it's not really useful on this side of the database, but it is down here. So in the top column or the top row, I'm going to add all our modules like so. And I'm also just going to delete these 2 rows here. I don't need them. I'm also going to wrap cells because I just want everything on one line. But as we can see, all of the modules are here, or all of the modules that you might have. Okay. So then we're going to make a roll-up because roll-ups and relationships are best friends and they work so well together. So we're going to call this sum. And sum is basically this number here. Now, this, we can hide this later, it's not an issue. But yeah, we're going to call this sum. So with roll-ups, you can pull data from other tables that you have relations to within the table that you're in. So for example here, we are pulling all the module names from this database into our database here. And that's not really that hard to do because we've done it via the relation, but we actually want to look at what those modules have as their final grades. So now we're actually pulling from a different column within this database, but all of the values link to the modules here. So that's kind of like a quick rundown on rollups, but we don't want to end there. We want to actually calculate. So now we have the sum. So this number, 7405, matches our 7405 here. So that's really cool. We finally have the sum inside a table. But we're not going to stop there. No, because we want this number to tell us what our overall classification is. Like, the number doesn't mean a lot without, the words. So let's call it DC. And we're going to use formula now. I feel like we've used the big three: relations, roll-ups, and formula. So we're going to use if function. And essentially, we are going to ask Notion to tell us that if the sum of all of our modules, all of our grades basically, that we've worked out, in relation to their weighting and everything, if the sum of that is greater or equal to 70, then please tell us that it is a first or a first class honours or a Damien Hirst. Okay, but if not, then we want to know whether it was a second or a 2-1 or a 2-2, but we'll get to 2-2. So if it's not a first, then please work out if it is greater than or equal to 60. So 60 is so we have upper second class and lower second class, and there's for some reason it's split into two, but it's actually similar. It's the same thing. So an upper second is a 2-1, a lower second is a 2-2. So a 2-1, please tell us, if it is greater than that, then let's call it a 2-1. Okay? But if it's not, let's see if it's a 2-2. So if prop sum is greater than or equal to 50, then please return a 2-2. Oops. Cool. And then if it's not a 2-2, we want to see if it's a third. So if prop sum is greater than or equal to 40, then please tell us that it's a third. And then if it's not a third, and it's not a 2-2, and it's not a 2-1, and it's not a first, then we only really have one option left, so we don't need to use an if function anymore. So I'm just going to write, then please tell us that it's unclassified, because it's not going to be any of the other options, so we don't really have any more testing to do. So once we've done that, we just need to add a few brackets here. So usually it's the amount of brackets for the amount of if functions, but don't quote me on that. These always go wrong for me, but it's actually worked. We'll see. In good time for the video. So as we can see, I kind of just want to add class on the end here. I don't know why, I just have the urge. Okay. So it's telling us that this grade refers to a first class, and we can see that that's correct based on this table, but let's just test that our formula actually works. So now we're on 66, and that falls within the 2-1 area, and it's told us it's a 2-1, so that's good. Same for 2-2, 58 is a 2-2. A third is 49, so anything below 50 pretty much. Yep, that's good for me. And then unclassified is 30 or below. So cool, I'm just going to undo that so we can have all our grades back in. So this is all well and good, but it's in this table down here, and I actually want it to be up here because I don't need all these tables. So we are going to now make a roll up here. So we have our relation, so we don't need to make a relation here. So let's just call this DC. Again, you could name it degree classification, but I'm just being quick. And then we're going to use our dash relation, not our assignments one, because the dash is linking to our degree classification table. And then we don't want to see all this untitled stuff. It's like annoying. So we're going to click our formula property, and then we're just going to leave it as show original. So it says first class 5 times, but that's just the nature of how these roll-ups and stuff work. Ideally, you'd have it just telling you it once. So it may become confusing as to whether it's the module classification, but we can make one of them. But really, this is just telling you what this is, what degree classification this is. And we can test this again by changing our grades. There we go. So let's just quickly make a module one. So this is super simple because we've already made the formula now. So we just have to change a few things. I'm going to go MC for module classification, and I'm also just going to put it next to modules here. So I'm going to go into my formula and Command A and Command C. So Command A selects everything, Command C copies it, and then I'm going to paste it into my formula here. Now we have some errors because prop sum is not within this table, so it doesn't know what to actually reference. So we have to change it to module grade because that's what we actually want to inspect. And then once I have written module grade in one, I'm just going to Command C and then replace it for every time we see sum, the property sum, because that, again, like I say, doesn't exist in this table. So now that we've done that, it actually works. And we can see what our individual module grades are telling us. So a 72 is a first class, a 69 is a 2-1, etc. So that kind of might help with any confusion. And you might want to just like make these all the same like style, because we have a mix of numbers and letters here, but it doesn't really matter. But that might help with any confusion over to as to whether it's your module classification or not. So I'm also just going to hide that finally because it's really annoying me. And you could go ahead and hide this, but I would just keep it, to be honest, because I think the numbers are helpful sometimes in figuring out, you know, where you need to pick up in terms of your grades if you want to. So the next part of Kate's question was if the sum 120, how can we put this inside the module weight formula? So we are going to make another roll up dun, 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 down here. So we already have our relation, like I say, so we don't need to necessarily make another relation because that's just silly. We already have one. And I'm just going to call it column for now because I need to figure out what I want it to be called. But we're going to get our relation and we are going to get our credits and we are going to get a sum. Okay, I figured out what to call it. Let's call this sum of credits. Now, in an ideal world, this would be enough to then roll up into here, but we don't live in an ideal world, unfortunately, and in Notion, you can't roll up a roll up. So you're probably like, what is she on about? So let's make a roll up here now, just to prove. So I want to get this, maybe you can, no, you can't. See, look, so we only have name, DC, and modules. But here we actually have a roll up as well. So it's not lying to us, but you can't roll up a roll up. It's just how it is. But we have a workaround. So I'm going to use some formula here, and I'm basically just going to tell it to put whatever's in here into here. It's just like copying, but it has to exist in a different format or a different property. So I'm just going to call this credit sum. Try not to get confused. Try and remember which one you did for which. But again, it doesn't really matter because you can't roll up a roll up. So I'm going to use the formula toNumber. So this essentially allows you to turn properties that have numbers in. So like say you have loads of numbers in your title, but you want to do some calculations with them, but Notion reads it as a text value. So you would use your two-number function to allow it to read as numbers that you can do the maths with. So we're going to do, I think I explained that right. Let me know if I'm wrong. So we're going to use our sum of credits. Now here it reads as a number, but obviously we're not doing roll-ups. So we're just going to add another bracket here. So we have two number prop sum of credits, and it reads as 120 here, which is great. So now we can go back to the roll-up that we made, and now we can actually select credit sum. So let's just show original, why not? And this is like all well and good again, but we want it inside our module weight. So it's super easy now. Let's call this credit sum, just so that we can't get confused. Credit sum, there we go. And inside we are going to remove this 120, and we're going to do prop, and we're going to pick our credit sum here. Oh wait, sorry, no we're not. So we actually, tell you what we could do. Okay, I actually had another step that I forgot, but I've just realized like a quicker workaround. So you know how we use that two-number function? We can actually just stick it in front of here and do it like that. I actually was a mug and was going to make a whole nother property doing formula to number, but we can actually just do that here. So two number property credit sum, and that gives us the equivalent of 120, because that is the sum there, and here it is here. And you could literally just hide that. I'm not going to hide it because I'm about to test this, so but you would be able to hide it and you wouldn't have to look at it or think about it ever again. So let's go and add another module. Module 6. Module 6 is going to be worth 30 credits, why not? And we are just going to add an assignment to it. Let's just do that real quick. Let's call it extra credit. I don't know if extra credit's a real thing in the UK, but I wish. Okay, and then let's give ourselves 100 because we're just so good. The weighting would obviously be 100 because we only have one assignment in our module 6, so the grade weight works out automatically. And now we just need to the reason why it hasn't worked here is because we've made this module, but all of the other modules are related to our module degree classification thing, but we haven't taken the time to do that here. So we just need to do that first and watch as magic unfolds. So see how all those numbers just like automatically fill themselves in. So we now have new module weightings, and we now have what degree class we got for that module, so module classification, sorry, and we also have our new final grade, and we also have the degree classification there. So yeah, and as we can see, our credit sum is now 150, which matches over here, so that's all working well. And now we can go ahead and hide it if we want to. So that's really cool. I hope that answers all of the questions. It is a bit more work, but it allows you to, now you can get rid of this annoying table if you wanted. And you could even make further roll-ups and stuff that tells you your GPA or, stuff like that. You could even add emojis into your first class stuff. So I don't know, this might be kind of lame, but, what's a good emoji? Let's think. A clap. As a little well done, a little pat on the back. So yeah, here we go. There's lots of ways you can roll with formula and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link is in the description for that, as well as the link to this new updated formula and added bit here. So that's going to be in the description. Feel free to check that out. Same as before. I also have a Discord server. Feel free to join that. Ask me questions in there. That's a great place to ask, as well as emailing me if you have any questions. I am trying to be more responsive on email. So yeah, any questions, let me know. I'm so happy to help. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.